It's the time to get down.
Everybody moving people around in the studio.
You love it, don't you?
Trying to get things all set up.
No, this is the part I like.
You can go into the house. Yeah.
So we'll wait for we're getting set up for the next phase. And we have a few phases here. While we're doing that, I tell you guys, let's take a look at the Phil Perry site, because gotta acknowledge the Phil Perry the fans over there. I have this muted because I can't have that sound, but
yeah. And then and we have such a special guest that's sitting next to me. We're just gonna wait and temporize it for a moment.
We're actually trying to wait for Phil.
I know. She's already sitting
Phil
in
and
the
Frank.
seat. Thank you.
But you know how we get. We have to run to the little boys' room. Zipper's always getting stuck.
Oh, don't be saying that, man.
Well, we're going to get a chance to visit with Gwyn Foxx.
Oh, man. Oh,
that's right. Entrepreneur, vocalist, trainer of etiquette.
Yes, she is.
Like the old, what Motown used to do in the old days. See, Gwyn can teach you how to be on the air. Perhaps she can shine up an old rusty part like me. Teach me some etiquette.
And I would love to be involved with that in my foundation.
Yes.
Giving scholarships to some of these young ladies. Or whatever. Or just
as everybody can see, we're getting everybody in position. So, Vic, take a look, everybody.
I know. Everybody's coming off.
Everybody's coming back. That's the way it is. It's that kind of show because it's like family today in the house. Frank McComb has promised me that he's going to point me to a YouTube video that we're going to show. We got Gwyn Foxx coming in. We're going to meet her. Phil's going to get a chance to tell you about his old friend. They've been friends a long time.
Yes.
And part of what I like to hear, and in the future you'll get more, is all the little stories too. They have to decide what they can tell. I don't try to get them in no trouble. See, I ain't trying to get nobody in no trouble. But I do say, we do like to hear the little inside stories about the industry.
I just sent you
and some of the people.
You're opening the floodgates for something here, aren't you, pal?
But it's interesting. We don't have to make it Jerry Springer, but I ain't turning you off.
Jerry Springer.
That's lovely.
I'm not going to turn you off.
That's
hey,
lovely.
Take a look, everybody, too, at the Phil Perry TV site. What's so wonderful about this, and I remind everybody, is that these are folks who are hands-on about their stuff. Same thing with Frank. When you go to their sites, they're really hands-on. You're seeing things the way they do it, the way they want to represent. And let me tell you something. Lillian is decorating this site like every week. She goes on a new tangent with the decorations. It's changing. So it represents the lifeblood of the Perrys.
I move furniture a lot too. My husband gets mad because you're moving more furniture.
Oh, it's gonna stay in the same room. It ain't going nowhere.
I like change.
Keeping it new.
But that's right, and that's what it's supposed to be. I told Lillian when she did, I said, Lillian, the idea is not to be perfect. The idea is to have it represent you. Fans sense integrity. Yeah. And when they're really close to the artist, and so we don't need it to be perfect. What we trip off is that we go like, oh, so you like these colors?
I know the plaid. Who would have thought the plaid?
Yeah, who would have thought that this was the way?
I'm gonna switch it again.
not content or copy, colors.
Stay thirsty, my friends.
So, all right, because I tell you guys, and now let me take a look too.
Give us free.
Give us free.
Ain't that something?
That's terrible.
They got their own language jumping up over here.
Yeah.
And they know what it means too.
We do.
The Phil Perry channel has over 9.5 hours of video.
Wow.
That's good.
9.5 hours. Never have I put together a channel that had 9.5 hours. And the fact that it comes from people sending us clips. I didn't go search out 9.5 hours of video clips. Your fans sent that.
Yes.
And so the next project we're about to do is the reorganization of that product so that it's more easily accessible on the channel
And
Phil.
easier to find.
Easier to find things, and also have a certain things in a faster rotation.
Right.
So we will be setting that up. But I just want to acknowledge to the fans and your fans, because we are simulcasting on your platform. And so they are there. And for them to know.
9 hours of video.
Wow.
That is a lot. Though.
9.5 hours.
Think about it.
That's good though.
That's a lot. That's a lot to view. You know?
Phil Perry.
That's awesome.
Now we're going to get a chance, Phil. Your good friend Gwyn Foxx is
Yes.
here. We're going to get a chance to visit with her.
Oh boy,
Two.
all my secrets are going to be out of the bag before the day is over with, I fear.
And so I'm going to let you tell us a little bit about, we're going to introduce her, but now, Frank, I'm going to try to get a couple things, because Frank has promised us.
I did.
That's right, you promised.
I
now,
make
Frank,
suggestions, but never promise. I don't like to be
I
locked
like
in,
this
man.
I'm
Public
going to
domain, though. If you suggest in a public domain, it flips to a promise.
go co-host.
Yeah, man.
Hey, so Frank, tell me the video I'm going to, tell him the video I'm going to get ready on YouTube.
I know one that's easy to find is North Sea Jazz. Will it go round in circles?
That's all right.
Yeah, that's easy to find.
Wow.
It's about 5,000 people there.
Will it go round and circle?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, you're
And
missing,
then,
you're
and
missing
then-
some stuff. Man, I'm sorry. They're smooching right next to Frank.
Yeah, it's so cute. They're so cute.
No,
over
no,
there.
no.
It's all on the internet.
She's just giving me the business. It just looks like smooching. I really know what's going
That cooling
on.
lights up here, you can turn all the others off. You got the cameras. We'll step off to the side.
They got the blue light, so I'm good.
handle
I'm in
that.
good shape if there's a blue light in the area.
Oh yeah, that's old school right there.
Well, Phil,
Blue light.
introduce us to. Now, I first met Gwyn Foxx when we came out to shoot the Phil Perry live rehearsal videos, and we got a chance. So many people have gotten a chance to see you, Gwyn, on those videos as part of doing the background vocals, and just watching how you all come together to work out and get those arrangements tight. That was something to enjoy. But so I got to give her a little claps. Everybody, Gwyn Foxx.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Lady Fox.
Thank you so much.
Now, Phil, tell us about Lillian. Tell us a little bit about this lady.
Well, I've been knowing Gwen all of my professional life. Every day of my professional life, I've known Gwen. We are both from the same hometown, East St. Louis, Illinois. She was a member of YODI, which is an abbreviation for the Young Disciples, which was a nonprofit organization that put together young aspiring musicians and singers and taught them some of the tricks of the trade that they would need to be able to make a living in our industry.
Wow. And she's still teaching, because from what I read, one of the things that you are, besides an active vocalist, you're a consultant that teaches people, glamour or how to carry themselves, present themselves, be professional. Wow, Gwen, that's etiquette. Because and so many things, because you too, and we love to acknowledge entrepreneurs. Yes, we love entrepreneurial spirit. People who run it, E-men and E-women, I call them. That's right, because they do everything.
Yes.
So Gwen, and you're one of those.
I'm one of those.
You're one of those. So shall I read some of this, you guys? Because this is let me tell you.
Versatile.
Yeah, you should.
Gwyn Foxx grew up in many places due to her being a military child. Singer, songwriter, musician, actress, dancer. Gwyn has been performing since the young age of 10 years old. Gwyn was nurtured by sisters who sang as well, but would not let her sing with them. So she began singing on her own, doing talent shows in Kaiserslautern, Germany, at the young age of 10 years. Wow. She came in. She was entered in competitions, and she came in first place. Went on to compete in the Kiwanis Club events for singing and dancing. Gwyn sang gospel and secular music. When she moved back to the States with her family, where she instantly became involved in the arts at her new school, this time she added running for beauty queen.
I did.
Gwyn.
And of course, you won.
No, I don't think it was based upon my beauty. I think it was all of those cookies and cakes.
Yeah, I bet some beauty had something in there. Yeah, I ain't seen no ugly ones yet.
And since I've probably known her longer than anyone here, I can honestly say she's always been beautiful.
Yes.
Always.
Thank you.
Yes. You have
And-
good genes.
Look at the people
And a
you've
good-hearted
worked with.
person, too, man.
Thank you.
Good girl.
Well, you know, it's interesting. Anybody who's around Phil, you know, it's interesting now. But look at these people you've worked with, Gwen. Stevie Wonder, Quincy Jones, of course, Phil Perry, Lionel Richie, Patti LaBelle, Shaka Khan, Andre Crouch, Howard Hewitt.
Howard.
Oh, yeah. El DeBarge, Ray Parker Jr., Shantae Moore, Hiroshima, Evelyn Champagne King, George Clinton, Club Nouveau. Wow. So many. Keith Washington, New Birth.
That's some fairly diverse artistry represented,
Wow.
I'd say.
Wow.
Totally.
So, and now also you have a book, right? You're an author?
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about this, Gwen.
This book actually was a book that originally it was me writing in my journal, and what happened was that in the midst of me writing in my journal, I heard God speaking to me, and He was like, "What you're about to say, you're going to need more to write on, because that journal was too small." So I went and got this legal pad, and I put the time on it and the date, and I wrote for 8 hours and 45 minutes. The title of the book is "Moving from Pain to Power." I saw everything.
Wow.
It's like the solutions to some of my problems appeared through the writing. It was like the Holy Spirit just wrote through me the whole,
Ministering to herself.
just the whole thing. And when I went to sleep that night, I tried to go to sleep that night. I closed my eyes to go to sleep, and I saw Oprah holding up my book saying, "So Gwen, what inspired you to write this #1 bestseller?" And so I saw the cover, and that is the cover that I have for the book right now, because that's what she was holding up.
Wow.
And the title, and I also have a website for it. It's movingfrompaintopower.com.
I'll get that up.
But yeah, that whole thing was just very inspirational. I got healing from it, and then I thought, because the way that the verbiage was, it was geared. It was geared toward women, so I knew that at that point that was really part of what my mission was. Is with women, through songs, through my writings, through etiquette and imaging. I will help men. You're not left out. Yeah, you guys are left out. We'll help that too. But
You're gonna have to write a double novel for us. It's gonna be twice the size.
Yeah.
By the time you
Volumes,
finish
yes.
writing for
And Gwen, wouldn't you say that once women really access the power they have to be graceful and mannerable and soft and delicate and feminine, that really gives us power to be all of those sweet, quiet,
and
gentle
absolutely,
kinds of
that
things.
actually is our power, because it's not our power to be masculine. You know what I mean? It's the man needs to be the man.
Yes.
However, just being a woman, there are so many facets to us. It's like we're very emotional. We have our feelers out. Our frequency is that we can feel, have an intuition about certain
Yes.
problems and feeling. Where men, they're not always into that, you know. But
We need help.
we need a little bit of money.
We're works in progress.
We were called.
Work
That's
in
why we are
progress.
helpmates.
Exactly.
That's
We're
why.
a good thing. We're a good thing.
I would tend to agree with the scripture that it says it is not good
that man.
for a man to be alone.
There you go.
There you go.
I will make him a helpmeet.
Yes.
Yes. He knew what he was doing.
And
Yes,
when
he
you
did.
teach women that power, when you give them that power that you're talking about, from pain to power, it helps the man become more of a man.
Absolutely, because she can respect him more. She's in her place. She's in her power. She's empowering for the whole family.
Yes.
Because she really holds it together. He's the breadwinner,
Yes.
but she's the one that handles those. That men think they're little tiny things, but she can handle it gracefully, opposed to feeling like it's a burden. You know, and I think that having etiquette is pretty much what it helps. It helps with your self-esteem.
Yes.
You know, you being poised is good, because if you're slumped all down, it's like just that energy is being cut off anyway. But if you're poised,
Exactly.
you get to breathe correctly. You
Right.
have, energy going to your brain and everything. So it's important to have a good image. It's important to have good etiquette. You know, it's important. And the training that I do is also specialized. Sometimes I'll customize it too, because the other part of me is that I'm a talent agent. So I like for my clients to have set etiquette, audition etiquette, because they're
Interview
Oh, they need to know. They don't know the
etiquette.
appropriate behavior
They
or
don't know the
dress.
appropriate, and then when they do get the job, they tend to forget the protocol. Like when the light is red, you're quiet, or if you want to, you're in a place. It's a special place, and you need to respect and have gratitude. So you kind of show them how to present themselves so that the production is watching you. They're not just watching, that you got hired. They look at your conduct. They look at your attitude. So all of these things is another part of etiquette, a part of the etiquette that I present. I mean, there's other etiquette for just kids, just growing up, like 3, 7, and, teaching them proper etiquette. But it can be used in a lot of ways.
Well, I can tell you, at least from doing the show and some of the people we've worked with, people didn't learn this. They didn't learn how to conduct themselves publicly, and for many of them, it's a bad experience because they learn it the hard way. Gwyn, when you think about it, and I noticed that the young folks that we've had here are so different from this, though. But when you think about it, how often do we hear "excuse me, please" when you're out in public? I mean, it's amazing. What you don't hear, and it's really you blame the parents.
What's amazing, really, in our industry is, back in the day, there was a lot of money spent on teaching young artists the correct way to conduct themselves in multiple media exposure.
Absolutely.
And I think that not only the digression of A&R in the industry, but the digression of teaching young artists how to conduct themselves has flooded our market with mediocrity.
Yes.
And bad behavior.
I agree.
Well, they say Clive Davis. Now, I wonder what you all the insiders, but they say Clive Davis was known for polishing.
He was and is.
Okay, because I remember Luther. I was at Luther's first concert tour. I was actually there when he did the one with
Anita?
No, what he did was part of the group. Doing Searching. Yeah. I even saw that one.
Yeah.
And even those of us who watched Whitney in the beginning too, who was a young model at the time, we've seen some of his work with artists because he polished the hell out of Luther.
Well,
and one year Luther came back. The next concert tour,
he was
hair,
he was an entirely different person, and his
like,
presentation was entirely different.
I'm like,
You know what?
wow.
I thought that was Larkin Arnold that brought Luther out. Larkin Arnold.
Was that who did it?
Larkin Arnold.
Okay, but you have to
But see,
understand
back
now,
then they did that.
Larkin cut his teeth under Clive.
Oh, got it. Okay, got it.
But you
And
would
then
hear
went to
these
Capitol.
things.
Okay,
When
got
he
it.
left, right?
Okay.
Why we know a lot of the young hip hop artists need
So
it.
Larkin came from. I didn't know that.
Right, absolutely.
And Gwyn,
old school. He cut
as a
his teeth
talent agent,
a lot of places.
is that where you got the idea
remember
because
CBS.
of
Okay, I
some
know
of the artists that you were getting gigs
that was
for, or did this come out of being a mother of girls that are in the business?
You know what? For me, where it came from was when I was younger. When I was younger, there was a certain way I wanted to present myself. There were certain styles that I was very into, certain artists that I would look at that I thought, like Diana Ross is one of those artists where I looked at her and it was like, she's like very elegant, she's a diva, she sings, she's always looking good, she's always together.
You sang with her?
Oh, no, I never sang with her. I didn't pass the dancing part of it because it was very, very difficult. She wanted me in there. She really wanted me to go out with her. She was like, okay, you did that, but you got to know how to do this. I didn't pass that dancing. I was like, she's like, I'm going to give you another chance, and I still didn't pass it.
Yeah, she like me. She got foots.
Yeah.
She got foots.
So
You can't have everything, Gwyn.
I think that as a kid is when I really liked it, and then when I got older, I still loved it. I still like that, a lady being a lady. I've always liked that, and it's something very magical about a lady or a woman being a lady. Yeah. Something magical about that. It's it's romantic. It's it's strong, yet it's feminine. It's like it feels good.
And though it may be unspoken, a lady being a lady makes a man want to be more of a man.
Oh, yeah.
Nice. See?
Oh, can I to chime in here because I have to be the buffer between the chat room. Now, Gwyn, while you was doing that eloquent presentation about, the rapping of the individual, PMC out of Pittsburgh says, listen, Mario, because Mario needs a woman. Now,
No, I don't need a woman. That's why I'm fixing up my house.
Mario needs a woman.
My body's a temple.
It's okay, man.
It's a temple now, and I'm able to save. It may be a little lonely on Saturday, but man, you'll be
Help my brother.
surprised how far the
need to help
check
my brother.
goes when you have no woman. I mean, not that I wouldn't trade it for the most wonderful
that's
situation.
where we can do a little etiquette right there.
right there.
Gwen, don't worry, honey. I'm still working on it. I'm trying. Just give me. It'll take a little time, but
I sure am saying
I will prevail. Trust me.
They said Eddie, why have to bust him out like that?
No, man, I got to help my brother, man, because I think there's an enrichment in
You know.
the show. Because we say, well, let's manufacture this relationship stuff. But see, I think it's timing when somebody like Gwyn walks in here and sits next to that man and he needs a woman. And somebody from Pittsburgh says he needs a woman.
I admire
Gwyn is the one.
all my guests for their parenting, their ability to tolerate adolescence. If you have a teenager you haven't thought about killing them, you are a wonderful person.
Well, he's a good catch, I have to say. He's a good catch.
At least thought about it.
We'll extend the show just to help my brother out.
So, no. That's why internet
See, you call
television
me
is
a trouble,
progressive.
What's going
I
on?
know.
Well, we have to do a woman show. We have to do
Yeah,
a woman
we need
show.
to do that.
Get Frank's wife back
Oh, Lord.
by herself.
Oh,
a woman show.
She can't
come by herself. I got to hear all
Yes, we need some.
I want to hear
Frank won't let her
everything.
come by
I want to
herself.
hear all the secrets.
And do
She's
that.
gonna
But
be
Gwyn,
with-
you
no,
need
you don't
a
wanna hear
channel.
everything.
No,
You need a channel.
I want to hear everything so
Okay.
I
You need your
know
own
how to
TV
stay on top
channel.
of it.
We'll watch the TV.
All this stuff. Gwyn, you've
That's
been
how you
doing so
learn.
much. You're such an entrepreneur. I mean, it's just amazing the things I just
Well, we do.
finishing school, everything.
But Lillian, you're actually with that point you said. People like Gwyn,
People love Gwyn.
like Frank too. They are
He's lovely.
actually poised for what we call the lifestyle channel
Yeah, that's what we're
because
doing
it's
here.
whatever they are.
Yeah, it's-
and they are so much, and it's dynamic.
There's something that I'd like to let everybody know that I'm sure that Gwen would never say about herself, but as a single mother, as a woman, she's very brave. This industry can really take its toll
Oh, yeah.
on our sisters. In
Well, you
their-
don't seem jaded at all.
We're strong. We're strong.
she's not jaded, and she's not jaded because she believes in what she's doing. I think success starts with the belief that you're doing the right thing, and she is an embodiment of that example to anyone that needs to have it.
She has the Lord too.
Oh, man. You know
Lest
what?
we forget.
You guys have done something because somebody's already suggested hooking up Mario and Gwyn.
See?
See?
Let's do it on
I
camera.
see. You thought you liked her. Be kind. Be kind to the lady. So
Gwyn, be afraid. Be very
they
afraid.
don't need that journey.
Don't you be scared, baby. The prayers of the righteous availeth much.
That's right. Availeth much.
You know,
Yeah.
Mario, I just want, I know you have the script and everything, but Gwyn is also the mother of 3 fairly successful daughters who have had their own television shows.
Oh wow!
And one of them was featured with that famous Family Matters featuring Steve Urkel.
really?
And that's
Yeah.
her daughter, Jamie Foxworth.
Uh-oh.
Played with little sister.
Okay.
Secrets.
Wow.
And then Tyron, who sang with us in Huntington Beach, had a TV show and a movie, right?
Yes.
What was that, Bustin' Loose or something?
It was Busting Loose, but she did a lot of parts also on Silver Spoon, like a lot of Different Strokes. She did a lot of that as well. Yeah.
So
and
you were a
that's
Hollywood mom.
That was
My
I was-
homegirl.
That's right. A Hollywood mom, but they were like trained in a proper way. They were trained to be ladies, regardless of whatever they may have grown up to do. They were trained for this industry. They were trained to go on a set. They were trained for the interviews. They were trained for all of that. Because when Phil and I were like coming up, it's like you don't know how to do it but one way, and that's authentically.
Yes.
Right.
When Phil hit that stage,
Right.
and you don't want to go to all those
Right.
stories about those girls.
Don't. Because nobody will believe it to begin with.
He said nobody believe it.
No.
But
I want to know.
Phil was one
I
of
think that's my time to leave.
All the singers.
Phil Perry. As you mentioned,
I never knew him.
Oh
back
no,
then.
yeah, but see, Phil Perry.
But she
was
knew
ve-
me before we recorded, though.
before, way before.
You were
know
in
what I
middle
mean?
school, right? You guys were in
way
middle school.
before, and he
Yeah.
Wow.
he was so creative even then. I didn't even know anyone.
Are you getting
else.
ready to tell them about you seeing me in the street?
I
with
did
my...
see him
Let
in
me
the
tell
street
you.
playing. He was so talented, and I always everybody loved his voice, and you know he's still a handsome man. Back there in the day, he was considered fine.
He was a pretty boy.
Everybody, he was a pretty boy.
He was a pretty boy.
He had this beautiful fro.
Oh,
This
Yes.
nice, beautiful,
This beautiful
fro.
frog.
And he
Whoa.
had,
This
but
one
the phone
right here.
had to go.
That's
and
right.
talking about image and etiquette, how his image was when he dressed, it was just it was awesome, and he was always the gentleman. But I remember
zoot
this
suit.
time, heading to Yodi to go to this, as he said, they were training that, Yodi was a pretty good thing for making you successful.
Oh, tell us about what was Yodi now?
Young disciples,
It
and
was-
what they did was that they'd get young talent, like he was saying, it was a nonprofit, but they would train you.
Wow.
They
would
teach you how to
train
read sheet music.
and how
know.
to dress for success for
This
the
was East
stage.
St. Louis.
Yeah, East St. Louis. That's
and
right.
It was one of the greatest experiences, because before that, like I said, I was a military brat, and I traveled and I sang and I did everything. But it was when I got there, that was when I learned how to be an artist, to really look the part and everything, and do my job. But getting back to Phil, I remember going on my way to the rehearsal and the training, and before I even turned the corner, I was hearing this guitar, and all I loved was music. All I loved,
You were a
I would
guitar
marry it if I could. And I was hearing him play, and I was hearing him. He has a voice that's unique.
Oh, yes.
And singing and playing the guitar, and I remember being late for that rehearsal, because he was playing and he was singing, and the song was so beautiful, and he was so kind. He was so kind, smiled all the time, but he seemed like he was just
sad.
He seemed a little sad.
Did he have a hat in front of himself?
He
like
did
something
not.
to put the money?
He did not. I just think
They
that
were
he
sensitive lyrics.
She got.
Phil, you were sensitive
He did it
now.
only for the art, never for the money.
But I can tell you this. that and we did. There were talent shows that we did as well, and the Deltones. Daryl Finnessy was a part of that. They had the fear. The Deltones had the fear when they heard the Montclairs were going to be there. It was sort of a fear. I mean, no, Daryl is not that fearful, but it's like they knew that the Montclairs was something.
It wasn't fear as much as it was that they respected
They
what we were trying to
it wasn't
do,
fear. It
you
was
know?
like they respected the Montclairs so much, as I did as well. It's like, because there was no other group that had that sound like that. So yeah, it was a pleasure, and as I've always known, like the first male voice that I ever really, really loved and moved me was Phil's voice. And I'm not saying it because he's my homie.
Yeah.
I'm saying it just because it's the truth.
No, Phil's a yellow boy. We turn red. Yellow boys turn red real fast. Yellow turn red. Look at it.
It's the truth. It's like it's a voice that's like
Gwen, that's sweet.
yeah.
But the guitar thing, that just amazes
You didn't know
me.
that he was playing guitar.
I've been with him
know.
almost 3 decades, and I didn't know
And
he
he
played
never
guitar.
told you about that.
Wow.
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 Plays piano well enough to
Something-
write good songs too.
Some things I guess he figured he didn't want to talk about.
Well, depending upon, but back then with the era that you're talking about, that was the dawning of my composition journey. And some songs were easier for me to hear and pick the chords out on guitar than they were for me to sit at the piano
right.
and try to figure, okay, now this chord has 3 of the notes in it that I want, but I can't decide on the 4th note, and that kind of thing. And it also gave me, playing guitar also gave me a sense of direction as to what to ask Kevin to play when we were in the studio, because until you play a particular instrument, you really can't direct someone to lay the bottom down the way you're hearing it between your ears. If you play that particular instrument, you're able to give them a different sensitivity when you explain to them what you're hearing between your ears.
Well, I'm a living witness to that, because he just wrote this one tune when we got off the Capitol Jazz Cruise in October.
Right.
And he called me and told me about this song he had been hearing in his head forever. And I went over to his place, and he didn't want to play it. So I was like, just give it to me. Just tell me what you hear, you know, just right out of your head to your hands, and just do it. It's like, man, I don't play well enough to rah, 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 just barking like a German Shepherd. I'm like, man, play. Just play it. You know, just give me what you hear, and I'll make sense of it. I promise you. Sat there and played every single chord. Yeah. Sat there and, you know, struggled 1 or 2 notes, but he played the whole thing, and now the track is done. It's just a matter of finishing his vocals.
My challenge has always been voicing and picking what it is that I hear between my ears so that I can hear it back at my ears as opposed to in between them.
Wow.
Well, I got a question for you because, you know, like I said, I'm the voice of the people
right.
here. They're not going to go overboard on you.
Okay.
Matt Port Townsend Washington said, question, since you came in from the paying dues part of the business,
right?
Basically, is it easier for an indie artist to make it now because you have paid dues?
That depends on the diligence of the indie agent,
okay,
Yes.
and the indie artists. Because of the digital age, they're so much more accessible to artists
Absolutely.
now that wasn't accessible when I started my journey in the music industry. But just having it accessible without really knowing how to utilize it to broaden your base and to touch a demographic or a particular audience that you haven't been able to get to,
right.
That just takes diligence. It's like any other entrepreneurial endeavor. You're only going to get out of it what you're willing to put into it.
Let me ask you this. I think right now more than any other time, maybe it's not a question, the young folks are more prevalent to me as it relates to what we're going through with this new social media,
right.
the indie artist movement.
Right.
I'd listen and pay attention to them like it's like a heartbeat. I never let them get too far away, even though I know a lot of times we may complain.
Right.
Like, you know, back in the day.
Right.
Back in the day, well, see, I'm still 19. Y'all just don't know it.
Right.
I'm still 19. I just, you know, kind of act old and look old. But anyway, I always say their heartbeat now is more close because the freedom of their expression is more now all around you.
Well, it's not the, quote, old school media decay
Right.
that we have, that we at the beginning of our journey had to go through to acquire
right.
airplay, FaceTime,
Right.
you know, I mean,
Yeah.
there's so much more available to them. I just would like to see more attention paid to composition and content out of our younger generation than I get the opportunity to hear on the radio. Okay. I'm not using radio as a guide to what they're doing at all.
Oh, yeah.
As you well know, I have children.
Right.
They all have their likes. They all have their dislikes in music.
True.
But it just seems to me that because music, specifically, music education was taken out of the schools, they kind of reinvented what it is that's cool to them.
That's what I like about it.
Which is wonderful.
Yeah.
But the other side of the coin is, if you don't know the language,
Right.
how can you leave the note?
Right.
Right.
If you don't know the language of music, in other words, I never have to worry about putting a chart in front of Frank.
Right.
But if you had to put a chart in front of somebody and you knew out of the gate that they didn't read,
Right.
how could you translate the musical idea to them?
Right.
That's what I think is lacking in our younger generations, is that they haven't had the accessibility of a music education.
Right.
And if they were going to lay brick, they'd have to know how to read a level.
Yeah.
So if you're into music, you got to know how to read music. You have to be able to speak the language. No matter what occupation or endeavor you choose to embark upon, if you don't speak the language of that endeavor, it only inhibits you to bringing your idea in that endeavor to its full fruition.
Oh, I love that because, Mac, we're going to find a different way for you to use the vernacular. He says there's no more chitlin circuit. We want to eliminate the chitlin circuit term, Mario, so help me.
Well,
with Mike.
it's hard, even though what's interesting with all this accessibility to data, people somehow end up being less educated.
Well, because they have to make it a choice to themselves. You can't mandate it to
Right.
someone.
That's right.
They have to choose it.
It's amazing the musicians who I run into who don't know even the recent history. People who are into rock that never even heard George Clinton Funkadelic. Okay, they never. How would you? We did rock back then. We did all kinds of things. You have to know it as a fan to even listen to it, to be exposed. You have to be exposed to Frank McComb. And that's why I think we'll use that as a wonderful segue, because we're going to give you a listen right now to an example of excellence in performance and preparation. Now, because let me say this about the man, because I first heard about Frank McComb from an old girlfriend of mine who called me up saying she had just seen The Next Coming. About this brother, and he sings like Stevie.
Careful, you
and
just
he sings like Donny Hathaway.
Okay.
He sings like
You're
Donny
right.
Hathaway. That's what they were saying.
Yeah.
He plays like Stevie, and he does it all at one time and writes.
Oh yeah.
And so he is a wonderful, wonderful artist, and perhaps maybe the best kept secret, one of the best kept secrets out there.
Not anymore.
Not
But you know,
Not
if I can make a statement, if you can't read so well the music, you better have some big ears. Study, do a lot of studying, because to be honest, when I came into the game, I wasn't the greatest reader. You know, it took for me to hook up a brand for Marcellus. You know,
Right.
that's who actually, got my reading chops up. And I ain't gonna lie, I hate to read because I'm not gonna lie, I hate to read because God gave me the ability to hear first before I ever learned to read anything.
Right.
So I had to depend on my ears.
So impressive, Frank, that you would not, being what you say, a good reader, to be able to play and impress Bradford Marcellus right there.
I thank God for it, because that's who gave it to me.